So quiet.
Hey, it's time for another episode, everybody. It's been another week of sports, which means it's time for another show over here at Off Our Game. It has been lively, as it always has been over here right on our pre-game show that we like to have. We'll discuss as many things as we can in the next hour and a half, but we'll definitely discuss everything that happened on Sunday. My name is Brandon Sosa, and I have the best group of gentlemen here on this team. Please welcome Kerry, Mullins, Brian, Cook, and John Hamilton to the show, everybody.
Yay.
What? No, like nicknames or
No.
Is it what?
We don't need that. We don't
No,
need that.
no, nah.
We're better
No
than that.
names. Nah.
No nicknames.
No. I mean, I can't do it every show, because if I do every show, then John expects it, and then John's like, oh, I expected that. But if I do it like every couple of shows, then John's like, I'm the punter, or I'm Joey Fatone this time. You know, he gets all.
That's a square.
John loves his nicknames, though.
So, you know, I have to keep things, you know, moving along, you know?
Keep us on our toes. Yeah, I got it.
Exactly. Because if it's the norm for John, then, you know, he gets numb to the whole thing. I can't have that.
I'm already numb to it. Believe me.
Damn new guys.
I know. Yeah. We need to look on the you know, our sheet, our practice squad, see what else we have, if somebody pull up or something, you know?
Did you get an Amber Alert?
Hamburger.
I just got one too. Sorry.
Funny.
Behind the scenes.
Okay. So, anyway, gentlemen, before we start our show, talking about a lot of things. How are y'all been? What's going on? What's the word out there on the street?
It's going to be cold. That's the word.
It is
It's
going to be
about
cold.
It's about to get real cold.
Mhm.
Texas, real cold.
Yeah, for Texas, it's like
40.
You know, people are going to die.
Right.
You know, like we always make fun of people up in like New England and stuff like that. It's like it's 87. We're all dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're going to make fun
making
of us because we're like it's 36. Oh my God, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Mullins, is this your kind of Mullins weather? Do you like this?
Heck yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. The
Is
colder
there
the
ever
better.
like too cold for you?
Too cold?
Is there ever been where you're like, no, I'm not having this?
I don't know that
No.
shit. When we went to Abilene that one time, you and I went up there to go watch the games. That was cold, and that wind was like deadly.
It was
That was cold.
Yeah, it wasn't the cold, it was the wind on that one for sure.
Man,
Wind is worse than cold for sure.
dude, it was bad. I had to like make a trip to Academy and buy clothes. It was bad.
Yeah.
I agree.
That was rough. But just cold, I mean, if you take out the wind, if it's just cold, I love it.
Really? Okay.
I'm with Mullins. I like the cold weather too, man. But I don't like that windy shit though. But I'm okay with the cold weather.
Yep. What's
No.
the coldest? What's the coldest? I don't know, y'all. Whether you've been in or event you've been in, what's the coldest thing you've ever been a part of?
I think the coldest I've ever been was like in the teens, 17, 18, something like that.
Okay. Where were you?
Yeah.
Just in town,
In town? Okay.
Texas. It wasn't anywhere. Yeah, it was just in town.
We were in Utah one time and it got down to like the single digits, but and some snow, but nothing like quite serious.
Okay. Mullins, where you been?
Actually, when I was in high school, back up in Henderson, we had a whole month of December that it stayed below freezing. I think the actual lowest temperature during that period was 0.
Wow.
The entire month it stayed below zero freezing?
Yep. Yeah, ponds were freezing over. I mean, this was like stuff you see up in like Wyoming and stuff. It never snowed, but it was just so cold for so long that like ponds and stuff were freezing over. So farmers were having to bust up the ice so their cows could drink.
This was like 18 something.
Yeah, no.
No, I meant 18 degrees, man. Why are you so defensive? God.
There was some 18 degrees, yes.
Yeah.
Golly,
I think
man.
the coldest thing was a football game. It wasn't snow or anything. The same thing you're talking about, it was the wind. The way the field lined up, I think the open parts were north and south. So that north wind that was coming through one night, whoosh, that's it. It's talking about like going through your clothes, like
Yeah.
bone chilling stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like some cold. That's the coldest I've ever been.
I played in a tournament down in San Benito. And Spills and I flew down there to go play in a tournament. And when we got down there, we looked at it was back before everybody had like, oh, take my phone and look at the weather. So you had to look at the weather channel going out there. And it was like Yeah, the highest would be like 65, 70. We get there, and some of the guys are like, "What are y'all doing, man? It's like going to be freezing." And I remember it was like in the low 30s, and it was cold, and it was so bad.
And you didn't bring a coat, probably.
All I had was shorts and football pants, and that was it. I was so freaking cold.
My brother played in a state championship game in Stephenville, Texas, in December, and this was before they had everything at AT&T Stadium, you know. And I went there with a pullover, and that was it, in pants, and that's all I had. But I was so excited the whole game, I didn't even notice the weather. But I still remember that everyone's like, "What are you doing? You're stupid." And I was just like, I don't really care about that. My brother's playing, you know, a state championship game, and thankfully they won. Otherwise, it would have been all for naught. They would have. So anyway. Did we enjoy all the festivities and the food on Sunday? Did we all get fat and have a lot of calories, or what?
Man, I did. I had a good time.
Yeah.
Enjoyed everything but the halftime show.
Yeah, halftime was wow. That was bad.
And the game, but
I thoroughly enjoyed the game.
The food was good.
Well, of course you did.
It was great.
Yeah. So did we?
That was not a great game.
It was a good game.
I don't care like who wins or who lost. That game was boring.
I enjoyed it. I didn't find it boring at all.
No. Okay.
Nope. I enjoyed it.
Was it? Well, let's get into that then. Let's talk about the Super Bowl then. Let's talk about Super Bowl. So Super Bowl Sunday, Bucks Chiefs. Not the game I thought was going to happen. 31-9. Who had the prop bet for the Chiefs not scoring a touchdown came out on the good end of that, as well as the streaker. Apparently, the streaker came out very well on this show. Let's talk about it. What was surprising about this game?
Well, I was surprised. I expected the Bucks to win, but I was surprised in the fashion that they did so.
Okay.
But I will say that we talked about it, and I said I thought their offensive line was going to be suspect, and they looked like trash.
They looked bad.
Yep.
I'll admit I did not think that it was going to be that big of a deal that their offensive line was in such disarray, and man, that literally cost them the game.
That's going to like probably change their draft strategy.
Yep, big time.
It reminds me of when last time Tampa Bay was in, when they played the Raiders. And remember, right before that Super Bowl, Barrett Robbins went AWOL for the Raiders, their center.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he couldn't play in the game because he had, his own issues, and they had to put in all the subs. When they lost Fisher, then they had to move a guard over to a tackle and a tackle to a guard. And it just messed up the whole game, man.
Do you think they'll have to really address that in the draft, though? Because, I mean, Fisher's going to be back next year, and then that kid that's the left guard, that took the season off because of COVID, is also going to be back this year. So do you think they really need to address the entire O-line?
They need depth.
Yeah, they need depth.
They need depth. I'm not saying use your first round. They can't have that happen again. But they need depth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the best way to address it is to draft somebody. That way they come in cheap and someone you can mold and get them ready. But they just need bodies and depth.
Okay. So did it come back down to the same thing we always talk about, and the thing that always wins football games, which is the trenches, right? So was that what it was?
Yeah. Bucks D-line and Bucks O-line just destroyed. They controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They did not play.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks were able to only rush 5 people. What was it, like something like 80-something% of the time? Or they only rushed 5. I can't remember what the percentage was, but 4 most of the time, and 5 at the most. And that defense usually has these crazy, blitz packages, sending 7, 8 guys at a time, and they never did that the whole game because they didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're playing.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Mahomes was running for his life. I mean, I commented during the game, like he wasn't even just dropping back, and getting tackled. Like he was going like 15 yards and then running side to side. I mean, he just never could get my son, who wasn't really watching the game, was just coming in and out. And he was like, every time I come in, I've not seen one, just drop back and throw it to a guy. Like he was running for his life the whole time. There was not like that looked like a good play, a designed play. Everything was on the fly he was coming up with.
Did you see the stat from ESPN, the advanced stats, what he did? He ran 497 yards behind the line of scrimmage, avoiding the rush, trying to set the throw pass throughout the game.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was like a completely different team out there.
Yeah. And we talked about that, right? In our previous show, we talked about if the Bucks limited the run game and they got 3rd and long and getting off the field, if they could win the ball game that way and improve that way most of the time, and I couldn't figure out, and y'all tell me if I saw something different, I couldn't figure out why they didn't run the ball more. Why didn't they run the ball more?
I was asking the same question because anytime they ran, they actually ran well. And it seems like the blocking was way better during the runs than it was during the pass, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't try to run the ball and get those safeties to come up more, because that was the biggest problem is they couldn't go anywhere down the field.
Yeah.
They were doing it, and they did something, and I think I mentioned it beforehand that, you got to bracket Tyreek Hill, but you can't bracket Kelsey, but they did. They bracketed both of them. They had 2 guys. They had 4 people dedicated to those 2 guys the entire game.
Yeah.
I think I saw a stat.
4 people, then
you can do it then, right? But when they did that, they also had they had the safeties playing way back.
Yep.
And it was just like, screw it. Our defensive line is going to get to you so fast. Your play's not going to get to develop, and these guys are not going to be open. So find someone else. Yeah. It was impressive. It really was on defense. I like the game scheme that they went up with, and the execution of it was just fantastic.
It was brilliant. It was great to watch too, because you watch it, you're just
that's why I enjoyed it.
Mahomes just sat there in the pocket because his 2 guys couldn't do anything. Anyway, what were you gonna say, John?
I was just like Kerry said, in the second half, they kind of came out and they tried to establish the run, and they were busting off 10, 12, 15 yards. But they would just do it like 2 or 3 times, and then that was it. They would just and then he would get sacked, and then they'd be in the hole, and then they couldn't run, and it was just, remember how we kind of talked about last game, who was going to take the most chances? Yeah. And I said, it's a slippery slope, because then, they weren't even really taking chances, but they couldn't get the run game going because they were getting sacked every time or getting rushed around.
It felt like to me that Andy Reid fell back into old Andy Reid tendencies.
Yes,
he kind of jacked up the game plan and was like, "Screw the run game. Let's just throw it."
Yeah,
because they
notorious for that in Philly.
They never really seemed to like. I think Romo even commented at one point, like, try to get it to Watkins or McCole Hardman or some of these other receivers. It was like it was either Hill, Kelsey, or bust.
Yeah,
and it was bust.
I agree with that completely. There was no adjustments, and I kept waiting for Hardman to go or Watkins to go off. I was like, if there's 4 guys here, there's got to be someone soloed up. So you're going to have to play the man on the one-on-one matchup and just see what happens, whether it's a pass interference or a great catch. And it never happened. And even leading into the second half, I kept waiting for that to happen too. And it didn't happen. I was totally blown away by the lack of adjustments going in or coming out of halftime into that. So
I kept waiting for that Chiefs, that run. They always do it. It's like they're like a basketball team. They always make a run at some point, and they just never did it. It never happened.
Yeah, I agree. But let's talk a little bit about the first half. Was that last 2-minute drive, or even last 2 minutes? How much do they have? A minute or so that the Bucks had going into the
55 seconds.
Yeah, going into the second half. Was that the backbreaker? Was that the turning point where the Chiefs had to get away from what they normally do?
I think that might have been the turning point for sure. And again, Andy Reid didn't help themselves out by all the timeouts they were taking. They helped the Bucks out with that. I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
I don't know why they were taking timeouts.
I don't get it.
I mean, he was thinking he was going to get the ball back, but after the way that first half went, you should just be like, let's get to halftime.
Yeah. And with Tom Brady, I mean, you just get out of the half.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady's back there going, "Oh, you're going to give me some timeouts? Okay.
Yeah.
Watch this."
Exactly.
At no point did I ever think that the Kansas City Chiefs would not score a touchdown, much less in the first half, the entire game. And it was 21-6. They only scored 3 points the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
Dominant.
I was blown away. I'm with you. The execution of the defense was great. And that touchdown right before the half was just, it's like, man, I didn't see that one coming. But I honestly thought coming out of the second half that the Chiefs were going to score that first touchdown. The second half is going to be a completely different ball game. I really, really did. Mm-hmm. And I thought Spagnuolo was going to make some changes on the defensive front. And he did a little bit, but it didn't really stop Tom Brady or the Buccaneers offense as a whole. No. And I have to give credit to the Buccaneers O-line. They looked really, really good. And that Fournette run, I was like, after that field goal for the Chiefs, I was like, that was it right there. When this was 28-9, I was like, that's ball game.
Yeah. And they did it in a different fashion than nothing happened the way I thought it would. I thought Mike Evans was going to go off. He had one catch.
Yes.
The receiver Smith didn't have a single catch the entire game.
Yep.
Gronkowski had 2 touchdowns. Antonio Brown had a touchdown. Fournette played a big role. It was just it was interesting.
Yeah, and Cameron Brate had a big role too. I mean, he had 3 catches, didn't he? He had a first down, I think. He had that big screenplay. I mean, and I think everything that Spagnuolo tried to do, Arians and Brady had an answer for it. Everything they made an adjustment. Like, okay, you don't want us to go to Evans, then we won't go to Evans. You don't want us to go to Godwin, we won't go to Godwin either. So we're going to play the cards that you give us. And that's the one thing I thought that the Buccaneers did good. That for some reason I kept waiting for Andy Reid to do, and he never made that change.
Yeah, the Bucs are just—it's insane. I didn't realize they were on an 8-game winning streak either. I knew they were playing hot, but I didn't realize they were on an 8-game winning streak. And I'm already hearing rumors that Tom Brady's willing to restructure his contract, extend it, and take less money this year so they can re-sign Godwin.
Mike Evans said the same thing.
Man, that's crazy to think about.
I'm like, geez,
I can't believe he's going to take another pay cut. He left there so that he could get more money. Why take a pay cut?
He did a lot of pay cuts when he was in New England just to get people.
He's probably just like, I just want to own every Super Bowl. He wants to just retire with like 10 of these things. Like he'll just keep taking pay. He's got all the money in the world.
Yeah, he don't need money.
Yeah.
I mean, he stated he's ready now to go ahead and play past 45, and he's already got 1-year contract. He's willing to extend his contract another couple of years and take a little less money up front. And yeah, I'm just like, geez, this dude.
Yeah,
like you said, John, he's going to end up with like 10 rings or something stupid.
He plays like he's still that draft pick that was number 199. He plays that way. He plays like everybody still dishes on him about how good I don't know, not how good he is, but how well he's not playing, and he's just obsessed with this winning. And I love it. I like watching it. I have to admit, I have to love that he wants it so bad.
I tell you what was fascinating to me was the post game in the locker room. I think it was Smith, the receiver, that had the phone. I don't know if you guys saw the video or not. They showed it on ESPN, where he has the video and he's like showing everybody, they're all celebrating, like, yeah, man. And he goes, but look at Tom Brady. Look at this guy. He don't care. He's done this before. And he like films him and he's like packing his locker up. He's like,
really?
He's just over there, just like casually packing his stuff up. Just kind of like, yeah, another day at the office. Time to go home and start over.
Because everybody else, it was probably their first or second, and he has 7 of these. So he's just like, see you next year. I'll be back.
Yeah. It's like, all right, good guys. It's time for a summer break.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that thing I sent you with LaShawn McCoy? He's got 2 Super Bowls, and he hasn't played a down yet in either Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's just crazy.
Hey, remind me to bring that jersey thing back up real fast. But let me talk about the game a little bit more with you guys. Did you think that the refs played a huge role in this game?
I'm sure Kerry's gonna,
Yes, they did.
Okay. Tell me, Mullins.
Painfully obvious. And they didn't even have to. I mean, painfully obvious how they were playing this game. The refs were, because what was it, late in the third quarter, and it was 8 penalties on the Chiefs and 1 on the Bucs. 1? Yeah. They ended up with 3 total, and 2 of those were like in the last minute. And that one flag that they threw on Matthew, talking crap to Tom Brady. Tom Brady ran across the field to Matthew to get in his face, and they threw the flag on Matthew.
That should have been offsetting. I agree with you on that.
But that shows you how those refs are with Tom Brady in the game. And you cannot tell me that there wasn't some holding on the defense or some pass interference or even holding on the offense for the Bucs the entire game.
They didn't have to hold anybody. The defensive line was tap dancing on top of Mahomes' head.
No, come on, dude. Okay.
And
in the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship, they let the players play. They didn't call any of that crap, but they wait until this game, and all of a sudden, now you got a fingernail on the guy. Boop, pass interference. Come on.
I will
agree
agree
with the Chiefs only, though, not against the Bucs.
I agree with you, Mullins. I agree with you about letting them play. I will agree with that part completely. I don't like that part of the game when referees do that. Same thing in the NBA playoffs. I'm like, all of a sudden, now this is a foul. Why is it a foul now? But the 3 games before this, you didn't say anything about it. You didn't do anything, but it's a foul today. Yeah. So I agree with some of that, and I agree with you on letting them play. But do you think – I mean, I'm going to just play a little bit of this. I always do. Do you not think that the Bucs plan to get the ball out of Brady's hand fast played into the fact that there was no holding calls? You see what I'm saying? Because they did some quick screens, some quick passes. Some different things that they wouldn't have to hold on to the O-line that long. So less penalties. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I don't agree with. Yeah, obviously, I do for sure. But it's always been said that there's holding on every play. It's whether the refs want to call it or not. And honestly, they didn't call that much holding on the offensive line for KC either. But it's because the defensive line was too fast. But I'm talking mainly in the secondary. They were getting KC was getting called for holding and pass interference in the secondary all game. And not a single one was called on the Bucks for that kind of mess. And I know for sure that it was happening. They showed it on the replays.
Okay.
I'll agree that Tom Brady probably is getting a little preferential treatment there. And they were obviously, it was lopsided. I mean, I'm not a Tom Brady supporter by any means, but I don't think the penalties influenced the game at all as far as the outcome was going to be.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, it probably still would have. Bucks still would have won because their defense was just getting into the face of Mahomes way too much for it to matter that much. I just hate seeing it, especially in a game like that when it's not needed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, call it down the middle.
Okay.
I agree with you though thoroughly though that Tom should have been flag on him too. I want to know what the hell Matthew said to him. I want to know what Matthew said to him that caused him to go after him, and I want to know what the fuck I want to know what Tom Brady said because.
Tom's apologizing for it.
Well, he apologized, and Tyrann Matthew said at the end of the game, he goes, "I've never seen that side of Tom, and I've never thought he would ever say something like that to me."
Yeah,
and he won't say what he said, and I'm like, I want to know what he said to him.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not gonna lie, I got pumped up about it. I was like, "That's right. You want to talk smack? Let's talk some smack. Let's do that." I just scored on your ass.
My favorite matchup that, and John brought it up last show, was the matchup between Jones and Jensen was going to be just primetime watch, and man, I enjoyed every minute of that.
Jones just disappeared though. He didn't do anything.
I think that was part of his frustration too. They owned his ass.
Yeah, and
they told him about it the whole game, and it was just making him angry.
Yeah,
they double teamed him a lot.
They did. The only call that I had issues with was the pass interference call with Matthew in the end zone. That was the only one I had a serious issue with. I was like, come on. I was like, you can't call that right there. It wasn't even that he didn't touch him that much. I was like, you can't call that right there.
If you don't cheat, you don't get the flag.
Sir.
It kind of reminds me like in reverse of when the Patriots went to their first Super Bowl when they played the Rams. Do you remember? And they had the greatest show on turf. And back then the Rams receivers were all complaining that the Patriot were jamming them at the line and holding them. And that was back when you could kind of get away with that in the beginning before, the 5-yard thing they have now.
Yeah.
And they were complaining the whole time because Belichick being Belichick game plan. Okay. These guys they're burners, lock them up those first couple of yards. They can't get by you. And they weren't calling anything in that Super Bowl. So they were kind of getting away with something. And this one is like in reverse where they were calling everything.
Yeah.
For one team.
Yeah. So let me ask a few more questions about this game. Was it just a pure Chiefs got outcoached situation?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't
Especially since he didn't make any adjustments really at halftime. I think they got outcoached.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't say if it's necessarily outcoached, but I will say that it's a combination of outcoached and outplayed.
Out game planned.
That game plan was on defense was just. I'm literally just. I'm like sitting here today, was thinking, how is Todd Bowles not like up for a head coaching job somewhere?
Yeah,
it was great. It really was a thing of beauty to watch.
It was. I agree.
And that's why the defense should have got the MVP, not Tom Brady.
That's what I was saying. It should have been just all 11 of you guys starters. Boom, you get it.
Yeah,
or at least 2 of them. Give it.
Yes,
that's happened once before.
Yeah. Co-MVPs, and one of them was, I think, the Cowboys. It
was the Cowboys.
MVP. Yep, had a losing one. Yep. So, on that note, Devin White, dude, was freaking everywhere. I think he was like 2 other players sometimes on the field. That guy is going to be amazing. We talked about him before, but to take away, I thought the demoralizing part that he did that was so good for the Bucks was that last interception in the end zone. I was like, yep, you just like broke everybody Casey heart possible.
And they showed that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They showed that one play where they tried to run a screen, and he outran the tackle that was supposed to be out in front of him.
Yeah.
He ran from the middle of the field further than he did.
Yeah,
it's just everywhere.
He's Derek Brooks again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you have Antoine Winfield, who's their Lynch.
Yeah.
They're set.
Oh, so the the deuce thing at the end of the game. Remember, I was like, oh, maybe he only had 2 catches. I finally found out what that was about. So
Tyree.
It was Tyreek Hill talking trash in the first meeting. He was doing deuces as he was running in the end zone.
Yeah.
So that's why they were doing deuces back to him, which even made it even better. That's great. I love it.
That's unsportsmanlike. You should never show off in front of your fallen adversary like that. You should never showboat or gloat or do anything in their face like that. I don't condone that behavior.
Never. Are you condoning any behavior like that right now, John? Are you condoning any behavior like that?
No, never. You should never elbow anyone at the end of a game. You should never.
Wow.
I've got one final question for you guys. Is this the blueprint now? Is this the blueprint going forward for any team playing the Chiefs? Is this it?
I'm not sure because if their O-line's back intact, then I don't think this game plan works as well. I think this was a perfect storm for them to. I don't think it'll be as effective, I should say. Because
and you have to have the clientele to be able to do it. Like not everyone, has got the roving linebacker in the middle and the hard hitting safety and everything and the coaching. You got to have all these pieces. Not every team can do this.
Okay.
Yeah, if KC would have had their offensive line intact, it would have been a completely different game.
Okay. Let me throw this a follow up then. Can the Buffalo Bills do this?
Buffalo Bills.
Not right now.
Yeah, to the Chiefs. Can the Buffalo Bills do this to the Chiefs next year?
Their defense is a little different. Their defense is more of like hey, we've got these studs and 7 in the box. You ain't running the ball on us. I don't think their defensive line has got the pass rush ability that the Bucs have.
Okay.
And I think that's where they're going to be lacking at.
Okay.
I agree. Their defense in general needs to get better. And maybe even I'm not really sure how well their offensive line is either for running. Like I know they had issues running.
Yeah.
They can pass all day seemingly, but I think their running game is suspect.
Okay. Mullins, can the Buffalo Bills do this?
No, not right now. Like Cook said, they don't have the pass rush ability to do this. And that's the only way you can do it is if you can get to Mahomes with 4 or 5 guys.
Okay.
Otherwise, even when you blitz, you're leaving somebody open. He's going to get to somebody. And then that was proof back in November when they played?
Yeah.
And they blitzed way more during that game than they did in this game, and Mahomes made him pay for it.
Okay.
But also, right now, Mahomes is dealing with that turf toe too.
Yeah.
And that hopefully. He'll have surgery or whatever, and he's going to heal up. So he'll be a little bit more mobile.
I think I saw today he's having surgery this week.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
And then another thing that I thought was interesting too, Tyreek Hill at no point was matched up on single coverage at any point during the game. He was double covered every play the entire game.
Yep. So you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a Bill Belichick move. Sounds like Tom Brady got in Bruce Arians' ear or somebody and said, you know what? This guy gets double teamed every single play. Your best player is not going to beat us today. You have to find somebody else.
Yep.
Well, the only reason they could do that though is because they were able to rush those few people.
I agree.
But if Mahomes would have had a little more time, I don't think the double coverage would have mattered. He would have made him pay, but he didn't have the time.
Yeah,
he could never get set.
True.
So well. Before we leave the NFL, because it is the final game of the season, and before we leave the Chiefs, we had a sad thing happen today. Mr. Coach Marty Schottenheimer passing, which is shocking today. When I saw it come across my screen, I was not gonna lie, I was a little sad. What do y'all remember about Coach Schottenheimer? Any memories? Any games?
Tough.
Yeah,
just a tough, hard-nosed coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember like a particular game, but he coached the Chiefs and the Chargers, so I had to put up with him for quite a bit.
I remember him. I remember the games with him when he was with the Browns against Elway and the Broncos and the drive and all that stuff back to back. I remember those games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember more as a Chief is what sticks out of my head the most.
And it seemed like he got a lot of crap too when he was at the Chiefs because his teams always had these amazing regular season records, and then they just didn't have the success in the playoffs that you would hope they would. And so he always seemed like he got a lot of crap.
Yep. He would have 10 10, 12 wins, and then they maybe win one game in the playoffs. They never really did. He never made it to a Super Bowl, right?
I don't think so.
Chiefs, Chargers. He wasn't the coach. I don't remember when they got
was
destroyed by San Francisco.
No, I can't say what that guy's name is. I can see his face, but didn't he get fired from San Diego after like a 12-4 season or something stupid like that?
I think he did. He had a like convincingly winning season and got let go for whatever reason.
Yeah. So, well, Mullins, you got any memories of Coach Schottenheimer?
Oh yeah. It was mainly like what John said when he was the Chiefs and the Chargers, especially the Chargers. He had some really good seasons during the Charger years. But he always had that ground and pound, just run you into the ground game. He had who was it, LaDainian Tomlinson for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he loved
Christian Okoye back in the Chief days.
Yeah.
He loved to run you down.
Barry Word.
Barry Word. Boy, I haven't heard that name in a while. Barry Word.
Yeah, I became a fan. I remember him from the Chiefs, being a Chiefs coach, and a little bit for the Chargers. And I'm not gonna lie, towards the end of his career, I rooted for him a lot because I wanted him to get over that hump. I wanted him just to be more than just a regular season coach. I wanted him to get past the hump and get in the Super Bowl and win. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't realize he had as many wins as he had. He's like top 10 in coaching wins. I didn't realize that.
What's his actual total?
It was
200
a little over
wins.
200. Was it 200 on the dot?
200 regular season wins, yes.
I think he's like 7th on the list, maybe 8, somewhere in there.
8.
Eight.
Number 8.
So, well,
No,
but
7.
that's that.
You're right.
Where does he belong? Where does a coach Schottenheimer belong without a championship? Where does he rank among the greats?
I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer. If you're top 10 in coaching wins, I think you should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. He's not in though, right?
I don't know that actually.
I don't think he is. I think he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. Kerry, do you have the list in front of you? Who's around him? I know Landry.
Oh yeah,
up there.
I was just looking at that. Let me go back.
Cook, is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Is he a top 10 coach?
I think he's a top 10 coach. I think he's a Hall of Famer. And I think it's garbage that these guys that deserve to be in, they let shit like this happen where someone ends up passing away and not getting them in before they pass. I think it's stupid. Drives me nuts. And this man, he's been ailing for a while. I think he passed from Alzheimer's.
Yeah, he has. Just 2004,
Yeah.
I believe. Or
For quite a
14.
while.
2014, I think he's been suffering. So
Andy Reid is right above him.
So who are the
221.
guys ahead of him?
Landry, Belichick, Hallis, Shula, Lambeau.
All those are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Are going to be.
Well, except for Reed, but yeah, he will be.
But I mean, he's going, and who's behind him? Like 1 or 2 behind him. Chuck Noll, I think.
Doesn't have the rest of the list here, but
okay.
yeah, I mean, right behind him would be probably Chuck
I think
Noll.
Chuck Noll was.
Andy Reid's going to get in the Hall of Fame.
That's what I mean. So everyone around him is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's no reason why he's not in.
He'll get it.
does a championship, how do I say? We talked about it with Andy Reid before he got his ring. Does a championship make or break a coach on his Hall of Fame career?
I think it solidifies it. Like if he would have had a Hall of Fame, a Super Bowl ring, I think he would have been in years ago. But
Okay.
that's what's slowing it. I think he'll get in, but it's just going to take some time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with John. It's kind of like the cherry on top.
Right.
Kind of just like that big explanation point right at the end. It's like, oh, he did this, and he got Super Bowl ring. Bang.
Okay.
All right, he's in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're looking like to get like one coach a year now, aren't they? Trying to.
Well, they started the
Kind of-
coaching committee this year. That's how Flores got in.
Yeah. So now I think the ball will be rolling. He'll get in soon.
Okay. I agree. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, it just kind of solidifies who he is as a coach. Getting to the championship and, just makes everything easier. So, well, that's the end of the pro football season. How many days into the draft, Cook? How many days we got?
It actually was a little shorter than I anticipated. I thought it was 85, but it's not. It's actually 67.
Only 67 days away to the draft. That means in about 30 days we can start breaking it down and seeing who's
Yep.
going to go where.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody who's listening, make sure you come back and listen to all our breakdown here. Let's talk about some other sports going on. Let's talk about some Major League Baseball. So Major League Baseball came out today with some new protocols for the new season. They're going to figure out a way to deaden the ball, which I don't know how I feel about that yet. And then they're going to do something stupid, which is going to go to the old playoff format. Which is these things is worse than the other Mullins?
Yeah, they're both horrible.
Well, What do you mean, like deaden the ball? They're going to give it some Novocaine? Like, what do you mean? How do
Soften
you
it up.
They're just going to make it like made a lead core?
I don't know
be
exactly
wound
what
as
they're going to
tight.
do. I have to see what they're going to do, but I haven't read the details into that. But that's one of their protocols for this year. Is
From my understanding, it's not going to be wound as tight.
Yeah.
So
The core is going to be a little looser than it used to be.
you guys are a little more knowledgeable in baseball than me, but it seems like baseball always is tinkering with this thing. Like, why can't they just, like in football, you always have the same football. In hockey, it's always the same puck.
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Like, why do they always change, unless you're Tom Brady, change the ball or the mound size, or they're always messing with this stuff. Just play it the same way they played it 100 years ago and obviously the ball, we've had some advancements, but do we have to change this every 5 years or so?
I mean, I'm with you. For a team that, for an organization, for a league that is so like particular about tradition and stuff
and stats.
I mean, one of the biggest things that cracks me up about baseball is they have this hidden area where they get this special mud that they rub on all the balls, and they're not allowed to tell anybody where they get the special mud from. But it's like from a very specific place that they get the mud from that they rub on all the balls before games across Major League Baseball. Why can't we get this shit straight?
With baseball, they always have all these like eras, like, oh, this is the dead ball era. This is the the steroid era. This is like and they're the most like, especially for Hall of Fame stuff, stat heavy. Like you can just read someone's bio and go, okay, Hall of Fame or not for the most part. And for a league that's so impressed with stats, they tinker with how you get these stats so often. It's crazy to me.
It is insane. And
half the league has a designated hitter, the other half doesn't. It's just these weird rules. Baseball's weird.
So with your question, though, I'm extremely disappointed with this playoff format that they're going back to. Last year's playoff format was awesome. It caused so much excitement in baseball. It made the postseason so much fun. And now it's just like, well, screw everybody. We don't want you to enjoy baseball. We're going to go back to this bullshit.
Yeah. I disagree with you. I thought both of these things were a little interesting by the Major League Baseball. I thought they took the wind out of the sails of all the momentum they had last year. And to John's point about changing things, I think that they tinker so much because I think that they try to capture younger audiences all the time. I think baseball's afraid that they're going to lose a younger audience to basketball or football, because basketball or football tends to be a much more exciting sport. And so for them, they need to change things up to keep the fans engaged. When if you just, like you were saying, if you're just a purist and you just enjoy the game, it is what it is, and you'll garner fans no matter what's going to happen. And to your point, Cook, I'm with you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they need to change the playoff format. It was a great season last year. Even with 60-something games, I was one of the better baseball seasons they've had in a long time.
Oh, it was short in the league, and I bet I watched more baseball last year than I have in the last 10 years. And I like watching baseball, but I bet I watched 30 or 40 Oakland A's games and probably another handful of the Astros.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I was really good. I was really happy with how they did things. And I'm not gonna lie, I was looking forward to the baseball season because I was looking forward to this playoff format all over again. So as far as deadening the ball too, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I thought scoring runs was the thing to do. I thought the NFL does it, the NBA does it. So why is Major League Baseball going away from scoring runs?
Yeah, was there a problem last year? Like, why are they addressing this? Have they come out and said why they're deadening the ball?
Pitchers were complaining the balls were hot. Too much pop on the ball.
I mean, was there like an increase last year, like a spike in home runs or anything?
I haven't
seen recall that.
This just seems out of the blue. Like,
I haven't seen any kind of statistical, evidence of it, but I do remember everybody was complaining about the ball being too hot.
Well, see, okay, not last year, but the season before, the Yankees broke the all-time home run team record. Like, they blew it out of the water. Now, mind you, they have, Giancarlo, or how do you say his name, and what's his name, Aaron Judge on the team. So those two guys alone can hit 100 home runs. But yeah, I mean, New York Yankees blew it out of the water 2 seasons ago. So that might be part of it too. I don't know. The timing seems weird. I mean, you would think, especially right now, state of the nation with trying to keep fan viewership up, that they're like all of a sudden, oh, we have too many home runs. Like you were saying, you want younger kids, they like the home runs and all this stuff. And now we're like, oh, now we're going to make the balls harder to hit a home run. Like, even if you want to do this, wait a year or two, we clear out of this pandemic thing. Yeah. What I would like to see is the things that they've done before with experimental rules, which is do it in the minor league system and see what happens there before you bring it up. They've been doing that with other rules they've had success with. Why not do the exact same thing before you bring it up and see how it affects the game? That's my personal
And they're
thought.
keeping some of the weird ones too, like the doubleheader stuff are going to be 7 innings.
Yeah.
They're keeping the extra inning overtime stuff where you're the previous batter goes to second base, the old softball rule. So I mean, I don't understand why they're doing that and not keeping the playoff thing was so successful. It created and generated so much hype during the season. You know, in normal baseball seasons, half the league is out by All-Star break, and by the time you really get close to the crunch in August, you only have a handful of teams that are really in it.
Right.
This kept a lot of people in it and kept a lot of teams alive and kept a lot of fan viewership, and they're screwing this up.
Yeah, there was a lot of games. There were a lot of games that there were teams that were still in it towards the end. They were just like you had to watch them because you didn't know how it was going to play out. But even the seeding towards the last couple of games, the seeding wasn't final till the very last games of the season. So
yeah, they're really screwing this up.
They are.
They didn't seem to pay. It seemed like the NBA with their little play-in in the bubble, and with the 8th and the 9th team would play each other in a little mini tournament. They seem to have learned. Oh, this kind of works. Baseball, for whatever reason, didn't get the message.
No,
just the fans enjoyed it.
Well, it kind of goes back to the whole problem that we talked about last season was their damn commissioner. Their commissioner is always screwing this stuff up.
Oh yeah.
Is it Easterby?
No, it's
what did you say?
Is it Easterby?
Might as well be, right? It might as well
be.
Shoot.
Asshole.
So, well, let me ask you a follow-up question to this then. Does an expanded playoff, and don't go to college football first yet, does an expanded playoff make a sport season or a sport league better?
Does it make the whole season or just the playoffs?
The season better, just like last year. Does an expanded playoff system, like NFL added a team this year? Does an expanded playoff make the season better?
I think so.
I think it's a fine line. You don't want to get too many.
Yes.
But baseball needs more.
Yeah.
I mean, they need a few more teams, like they did last year. I mean, I think that was a perfect number.
Yeah, I agree. That last year was like pinnacle. That's where they should be, because like Cook was pointing out, typically mid-season, a lot of your teams are out. There's no way they're going to make it, except for last year. Last year it was like just a handful of teams were out, and the rest of them were chasing those last couple of spots.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. The Padres are notorious sellers every year, and last year, man, they went all in. They were doing everything they could to try to make the postseason, and then it carried over into the offseason. They just kept doing it. If they don't have that potential last year making the playoffs, they don't do that. They're a totally different team right now.
Yeah, and they're definitely even team right now. They're still buying. They're still buying. They're making moves all over the place. So same thing with the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers I think are trying to keep pace with the Padres at this point in number of transactions.
The Dodgers their pitching staff looks sick right now.
They do, dude. I guess they're trying to make sure that what happened last year wasn't a fluke. But I'm with you guys. I think I'm with you, Cook. There's a fine line between the number of playoff teams that you have to have. But even the NFL proved that extra playoff team, even in the AFC, was tough to get into. What was the worst record for the AFC this year getting in?
10 wins.
10 wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's close. I mean, I know the NFC East totally brought that whole thing down for the NFC side of things. But
really, in the grand scheme of things, how often does that happen? It may happen every 5 years.
Yeah,
it's not very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'm on board. I'm on board too. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll see this play out much better next year for the Major League Baseball too. So we'll see what happens. And NHL's I'm not gonna NHL's how they set theirs up last year too was really good. I look forward to the NHL playoffs, even though apparently one division is going to be in Canada and everybody else is going to be in the United States.
Right.
So,
Their schedule's crazy. Have you seen how they broke it down? I'm just interested to see how it works.
I haven't seen it actually. I haven't.
So they're all broken down regionally, like West, East, Central, and Canada.
Right.
And there's 7 teams or 8 teams, depending on where you're at in each one. But they only play each other the whole season. So you're only playing your other 6 or 7 opponents all season long. You play I think it's a 56 game schedule, 60, something like that.
Ooh, man.
And so you're going to learn to hate those people throughout the season if you're playing the same 7 teams over and over. And they're doing like back-to-backs, say the Kings are playing the Vegas, and they'll play them 2 or 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
because of traveling and COVID and all that stuff. So I'm curious how this is going to like build up hatred throughout the season of just them playing each other over and over.
I hope it does. I'm not gonna lie. I hope it does.
I hope
Okay,
it does
I'm not
too.
gonna let you, but I love rivalry games. I think rivalry games are great. I love rivalry games, nasty rivalry games. Okay, like for the Ravens and Steelers, I love those nasty games. I love Blue Devils and the Tar Heels. I love it. I love Red Sox Yankees. I love the nastiness of those things. So
I'm gonna surprise you boys.
what's that?
You watched a game?
I've been watching hockey.
Oh boy.
All right, look at that
Yeah.
big boy
About
cook.
time.
I
Okay.
discovered that I have in my sports package that I had like the NHL channel. So
Yeah.
I was watching hockey the other night. I almost took a picture and sent it to y'all. I was like, no, I'll just keep it a secret for now.
You got to
Is
learn
it-
those Russian names so you don't get them confused with like czars.
Yeah, I just go by the
Right.
numbers.
Yeah. So let's think about this. So Mullins is watching basketball. Cook is watching hockey. I'm watching Bass Pro Fishing.
Pogo sticking.
Propaganda is being spread everywhere. Where 3 out of 4 of us have watched Cobra Kai. And what else is going on?
John, what are you doing to expand your
I
horizon?
don't know. Maybe I'm gonna watch some more. I'm gonna try to watch some more college basketball than I normally do because I normally wait till tourney time.
Okay.
But I'll start watching some games now that football's over. That'll be my venture.
I watched that Gonzaga game last night, and those dudes were just toying with BYU.
Are they still undefeated?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So that's a perfect segue, Cook. Thank you very much, sir. So let's talk a little bit of March Madness, actually, as we so the first time since December 18th, 1961, Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, and UCLA are all officially unranked at the exact same time.
Wow. That's
All
amazing.
those programs are not ranked officially right
That's
now.
good. That's great.
Kerry,
It is
what was it
good.
like back then when those guys weren't ranked?
I didn't watch basketball because I wasn't
you were-
born.
You didn't watch it in high school?
He didn't have a TV then, probably. He probably didn't have a TV, so he couldn't
that's
watch
true.
it then. He probably just read about it. He just
Well,
read
you could
about
Wow.
listen to it on the radio with the cereals. Everyone huddled around in the living room.
it. Man, I hope the people on our show just like wonder, trying to guess like Mullins' age. I wonder if they do. Like, you know what? How old is Kerry Mullins? You know, how do I look up and find out how old this guy really is?
If you start typing it in Google, it's like the first search that pops up.
It's not me. It wasn't me.
You can find his
It
birth
wasn't me.
certificate on a stone tablet.
Shoot.
Wow.
Wow, that's good. That's really good, John. I like that. That's real good.
Maybe paint it on a cave wall or something.
That's
I'm sorry,
good.
Mullins. I didn't mean to start all that. I just wanted to give you a little pop shot. These guys
Yeah.
are taking it a little far.
I didn't. Whoa,
Uh,
whoa! I didn't say anything. It was John. It was all John.
I thought it was a thing we were doing. My bad.
This segment is a little segment. Carrie's age segment.
This segment is brought to you by Geritol, Kerry sponsor.
And prunes.
And prunes. Ooh,
I hate
man,
prunes.
prunes. I hate prunes too. They're nasty. I don't like prunes.
I don't
know
think
how
I've ever
people eat
eaten a
those things.
prune.
Huh?
I don't think I've
have
ever
either.
eaten a prune.
Aren't you to the age where you have to eat prunes?
No.
Keep
no.
everything regular.
That's Mullins, not me.
Sir, you're right behind me.
I may be right behind you, but I don't eat prunes.
Oh shoot! Let's go back to the March Madness and what we're talking about. So, some of these blue bloods don't look like they're going to get in this year. Duke, I
Good.
think, is below or at 500. North
Good.
Carolina is going to squeak in, possibly. Usually, it's definitely not going to make it in. I don't think. Kentucky is definitely not going to make it in either. The way they're playing, Kansas will probably squeak into the tournament. What's it going to be like with some of these blue bloods not there for the tournament?
I think it's great.
I think it's awesome.
Like fresh blood. And this is kind of, as a fan, especially if you're not in one of these, rooting for one of these colleges, you're always like, oh, these guys are always at the top. It's always North Carolina. It's always Kentucky. I think it's nice, even if it's just a blip for 1 year, just to kind of see some other teams get in.
Okay. All right. Mullins, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about having some of these regular programs in there?
I mean, it's kind of cool. You still have some of the big names up there: Georgia, Villanova, Michigan, Baylor. So you still have a lot of the big names up there. But yeah, some of the old big names are falling off. So it is kind of cool.
All right.
But I mean, to me, I don't care if you put 100 teams in the playoffs. It's going to come down to Georgia and Baylor.
In Gonzaga?
I mean, yeah, Gonzaga and Baylor.
Okay. All right. Cook, do you have any thoughts? What are you thinking about this? Do you like having these guys in here? And what I mean by that, to topple. I don't mean for them to always win, but to topple these guys.
Yeah, I like them to be there so they can get beat.
Okay.
It's and I hope, be honest with you, I hope a couple of them squeak in that shouldn't technically be there, but they get there. That way, some of these other folks can can knock them off.
Okay. Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm with Mullins though, which is weird to say about college basketball and mention the Mullins name. It's I am pretty much certain it's going to be Gonzaga and Baylor. I mean, they're just so head and above anybody else in the league right now. It's just not even funny.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I look forward. I'm hoping it's a 1-2 matchup that they end up there. Because it didn't happen in the regular season, and I was disappointed by that. So I hope it happens in the tournament.
I'm kind of glad it didn't happen now.
Really?
I'm kind of glad it didn't happen now. Now they can meet up in the championship, and we don't have none of this. Well, in the first meeting, nope. Let's just go.
Okay.
All the rights right here, all the bragging rights right here with this one game. Let's roll.
All right. If you're an average fan, doesn't pay attention too much. Does this affect you? That you're going to watch it? Does it affect you at all? If you're just like I'm an average fan. When the tournament comes, I look forward to this. Does it take away from whatever your experience is going to be? Just like college football playoff. You want to see the big guys go at it most of the time.
I think college basketball is different though because everybody starts filling out their bracket.
Yeah.
And once people start filling out the bracket, they don't really give a crap who's playing who. They just want to make sure they get their games. They want to make sure they win. They win their little pool they're in. They have the bragging rights with their friends. That's all everybody really cares about for the average fan, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll just make it more difficult for people to do their brackets because now, in the past, you don't pay attention to college. And you're like, oh, well, Duke, that's a win. Oh, Kansas, that's a win. Now you got to be like, who are these other teams?
Yeah.
I got to really guess.
I got to do some research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'll just getting people's thoughts. I like it too. I like seeing new blood in there. I look forward to seeing what ends up happening. So, we'll see what happens when we do our live version of a March Madness Pick'em, and I hope that the fans will look forward to that as we're going on. So, before we end this show, I wanted to bring this up because I thought it's a fascinating documentary. I haven't shared with you guys yet because I keep forgetting to share with you guys yet. But have you seen the documentary about the great Brady Jersey Heist?
Well, when they got the jersey stolen after the Falcons Patriots game?
Yes. Have you seen the documentary yet?
I haven't seen the documentary, but I've heard a lot about it.
Okay. Mullins or John, you seen it?
I mean, I've heard of the thing going, but I haven't seen the documentary.
Okay. I watched it the other day. I watched it the Sunday after the championship games, right? It was on because there was no football and there were no documentaries. And it was an extremely fascinating story because this guy, he was a reporter for a Mexican newspaper, and he had gotten into all these Super Bowls, and he had stolen the Seahawks jersey Super Bowl, that Super Bowl 49, I believe. And then he stole, of course, the Falcons one too. He's stolen those two jerseys from Tom Brady. And he has all these pictures with Tom Brady and Gronk and all these guys. And he acts just like a normal person, but he's an avid sports collector too. He's a little obsessive, if you want, with it. And so the whole time when I was watching the game, I was like, where's Tom Brady's jersey? Where's his jersey during the game? Does he have it? Because this guy, literally the Falcons game, he actually went into Tom Brady's bag and took it out of the bag.
Wow.
He actually went all the way into the locker room. When Brady went to the shower and was taking pictures of everybody, he actually put his hand in the bag and took out Tom Brady's jersey and walked out with it.
Wow.
So y'all get a chance. Yeah, y'all get a chance. Y'all watch the Great Brady Heist because it is definitely worth. It's really interesting.
Is it a 30 for 30 or what is it?
It's on Fox Sports, actually. It's on Fox Sports,
okay.
And it's really good. I don't know if they show it on their regular content or how they show it, but I just caught it one day on a Sunday, and it was really good. So we'll see what happens from there going forward. Speaking of college basketball, there's a good game going on right now at Texas Tech and West Virginia are playing each other right now. So we'll see how that plays out the rest of the evening. So, gentlemen, the end of our show. As always, what's the final word going into next week? Anybody can start.
I'll say two things.
Two things.
I'll start off with the negative and finish with the positive.
Ooh, I like this.
Don't bring Carson Wentz's punk ass to Houston. He can keep his little whiny ass in Philly. If you're that infatuated with him, send Jack over there to hang out with him, and him and Jack can have a good time in Philly. Fire Jack Easterby and get his ass out of here.
Okay.
Number two, I'm excited about NCAA football returning to PlayStation. That's
There you
awesome.
go.
John, I won't say anything if you want to mention basketball. Okay, if you want to mention basketball,
Okay,
whenever it's your
good.
turn, I won't say anything this time. But it's Mullen's turn, so not yours.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. And sad football season's over.
Okay.
Counting the days for it to start back up. But meanwhile, go Stars.
Go Stars. I like it.
I've got to find me a hockey team I'm going to root for.
The Stars.
At
We just told you
Dallas.
the Stars.
Yeah,
They're pretty good.
Texas team.
Now's the time to jump in on the Stars.
The only
Yeah.
thing I enjoy out of Dallas is I-45 South.
Wow.
Wow.
Man. No love at all. You
The
can't,
hate
you
is
can't
strong
even
in that
you
one.
can't even support your friend Mullins. Be like, oh, go
I
Stars.
know, right?
Go Stars.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go for the Knights.
Okay, my turn. Final word. Final word is NFL season. You pulled it off. To the team doctors and all the organizations over there, thank you very much for making it happen. It was much, much, much appreciated by all the fans. Thank you for getting all the nurses out there to the Super Bowl, or the frontline people to the Super Bowl. That was much appreciated. I still don't like Roger Goodell, and I probably won't ever will. I look forward to the next commissioner whenever that happens. John, you're up, John.
Tom Brady, you're the best ever. You're just gonna keep winning. I can't say. I don't know. I'm gonna fight it anymore. You're the best. Great. I'm looking forward to basketball, NBA, and us focusing a little bit more. You know, we're pretty football heavy on this show,
Yeah.
but now we're gonna start rolling into some baseball, basketball, NCAA. So I think that's gonna be fun for the
It'll be good.
podcast in general. I think it'll be fun.
I think it will too. I look forward to that too. I'm looking forward to expanding our stuff. I know we love football. We talk about it quite a bit, but I do too. I look forward to getting into different things. So that is our show, everybody. As usual, we are on Spotify. We're on YouTube now, trying to get our shows out there more. Please share our content with everybody. OffOurMail@gmail.com. What am I missing? We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. Please share with us. We are trying to grow our fan base out there. If you enjoy us, like I said, please listen. Good night, everybody.